The comparison began before I could even walk. Derrick came first, 3 years older, 3 years of undivided attention before I showed up and, as family legend goes, ruined the balance. Derrick was such an easy baby, Mom would say at every family gathering. Then we had Jason and forgot what sleep was. Derrick was the golden boy, captain of every team, charming, social, magnetic. I was quieter, more analytical. I liked books, puzzles, and taking things apart to see how they worked. By age 10, the family narrative was set in stone. Derrick was destined for greatness. I was the question mark. He went to Duke on an athletic scholarship, played lacrosse, joined a top fraternity, and landed a finance job in Manhattan, starting salary $95,000, plus bonus. I went to a state university 2 hours from home to study hospitality management, a decision that made Dad sigh. "You're paying tuition to learn about hotels?" he said. "It's a respected field," I replied. "Cornell has the same program." "But you're not at Cornell." No, I wasn't, but I was exactly where I needed to be. I'd been fascinated by hotels since I was 16, not for the luxury, but for the structure behind them, the rhythm, the way a great hotel operated like both an orchestra and a machine. I worked all through college, front desk at a Hampton Inn, then night audit, then breakfast shift when they needed help. I wanted to understand every role, every moving part. When Derrick came home for Christmas my sophomore year, he drove a new Audi and talked about expense accounts, client dinners, and rooftop parties in Manhattan. "Jason's working at a Hampton Inn," he told his friends, grinning, living the dream. I was, actually, just not the kind he understood. After graduation, I stayed in the industry, assistant manager at a mid-tier hotel in Charlotte, $38,000 salary, 60-hour weeks, learned everything: operations, crisis management, staffing, revenue optimization. Meanwhile, Derrick got engaged to Courtney, a corporate lawyer with family money, the kind that came with generational wealth and country club memberships. At their engagement party, Derrick pulled me into a half-hug. "Everyone, this is my little brother. He works at a hotel." "I'm an assistant manager," I corrected. "He's in hospitality," Derrick explained, as if translating for the room. Courtney's father shook my hand. "Hotels, interesting. Derrick mentioned you work the front desk?" "I'm in management," I said. He smiled. "Good to start from the bottom. Builds character." I could see him assessing me, calculating income, status, potential, and coming up short. 3 years later, I'd climbed from assistant to general manager, moved to Atlanta, and hit a $67,000 salary. I was managing high-end properties now, the kind where service was an art form. I lived simply, saved aggressively, and studied investment strategy every night. I had a plan. Derrick made VP, bought a Westchester house, and got featured in some alumni newsletter. I bought a struggling boutique hotel in Asheville, my first property, all my savings, $118,000, plus a nerve-wracking loan. I fixed operations, retrained staff, renovated smartly, and rebuilt its reputation. 2 years later, I sold it for nearly triple what I paid. No one in my family knew. They still thought I was working at hotels. At 32, I bought my second property, then a third. By 35, I owned 7 across 4 states, luxury, boutique, and lifestyle hotels. My management company employed 43 people, net worth, roughly $23 million. And my family still thought I made 70 grand a year. I didn't correct them, their ignorance was freedom. Then came Derrick's wedding, the event of the decade. According to Mom, destination weekend, 200 guests, a luxury resort in Virginia wine country. The Belmont Estate Resort. When the invitation arrived, hand calligraphed, heavy as a hardcover, I laughed. I owned the Belmont Estate Resort. I'd bought it 18 months earlier for $8, $4 million, renovated for $3, $2 million, and transformed it into the highest-rated property in the region. Average rate, $1,850 per night, booked solid. The wedding coordinator had no idea who I was. All properties operated under my company, Riverside Hospitality Group. I kept a low profile. Only my exec team knew the truth. 3 weeks before the wedding, Mom called. "Jason, we need to talk about the hotel situation." "What situation?" "The Belmont rooms are $2,000 a night, plus resort fees and dining minimums, nearly $9,000 for the weekend." "I can manage." She laughed softly. "Honey, be realistic. That's more than you make in a month." We found a nice budget motel 8 miles away, the Countryside Inn. $110 a night. Much more. Suitable. Suitable for what? For your budget, sweetheart. No shame in being practical. I looked around my office, the top floor of a restored textile mill in Charleston, screens displaying live data from my 7 hotels. Sure, Mom, I said, the countryside and sounds fine. Oh good, she sighed with relief. Derrick and Courtney felt terrible about the cost, but they really wanted the Belmont estate. They wanted my resort. Perfect. 2 weeks before the wedding, Derrick called. Hey, I just wanted to warn you, the Belmont's really high-end. You might feel out of place. Noted. Maybe eat at the motel restaurant, it's cheaper. The Belmont's dinners start at $80 a plate. Got it. And if the pre-wedding parties are too pricey, no one'll judge you for skipping. Appreciate the heads up, Derrick. When I hung up, I texted my general manager at the Belmont estate. Thomas, I'll be attending the Morrison Bennett wedding next weekend. Maintain confidentiality about ownership. I typed. I'll check in at the countryside and under my own name. Monitor the Morrison party for any issues. Thomas replied instantly. Understood, Mr. Rivera. Should I reserve your usual owner's suite, just in case? Yes, I wrote back, but keep it off the books. I'll decide day of if I'll use it. The wedding weekend arrived. I drove to Virginia in my 3-year-old Lexus ES 350, comfortable, but unremarkable. My suitcase was modest. My plan was simple, stay invisible. I passed the Belmont estate first, the mile-long oak-lined drive, the mansion gleaming white in the afternoon light, the grounds flawless. I'd overseen every inch of its restoration, from the marble in the foyer to the curvature of the chandeliers. It was perfect. Then I kept driving, to the countryside inn. The difference was staggering, the motel's cracked asphalt lot, the buzzing neon sign, the faint smell of mold under the chemical air freshener, the Wi-Fi sputtered, the air conditioner groaned, the bed sagged. I unpacked my pressed suit, hung it in a chipped closet, and sat on the faded comforter checking my phone. 17 new emails. Revenue reports, up 31% year-over-year. 2 acquisition proposals pending review. A magazine requesting an interview about emerging leaders in luxury hospitality. I handled it all from the countryside inn, while my family stayed at the resort I owned. Friday evening, the welcome dinner. I arrived at 6:45 p.m. Parking my Lexus among a sea of gleaming Mercedes and Teslas. The estate looked magnificent. My team had outdone themselves, the gardens, the uplighting, the scent of fresh jasmine drifting through the courtyard. Inside, the chandeliers glowed like suspended stars, the parquet floors shone. Each floral arrangement was an explosion of color, $600 apiece, if memory served. Jason, Derrick waved me over. He was radiant in his $3,000 custom suit, arm around Courtney in her designer dress and heirloom jewelry. You made it, he said, pulling me into a hug that felt more for the audience than for me. Congratulations, I said. Isn't this place unreal? Worth every penny. Our suite has a fireplace, soaking tub, balcony, the works. $2,000 a night, but totally worth it. It's beautiful, I agreed. He smiled, lowering his voice sympathetically. How's the countryside inn? It's fine. Well, at least you're here, that's what matters. Come grab a drink, open bar. One of the perks of paying $85,000 for the wedding package. I knew the package was $127,000. I let him enjoy his discount illusion. The bourbon I ordered cost $40 a pour, but Derrick didn't pay for that either. Dinner was exquisite. My team's work again. The family gathered, everyone glowing in expensive clothes, laughing loudly about expensive problems. Richard, Courtney's father, found me near the bar. Good to see you, Jason, still managing that place in Atlanta? I'd left Atlanta 6 years ago. Still in hospitality, I said simply. Good man, not everyone's meant to be a VP like Derrick. We need people to run the hotels, not just stay in them. He laughed, proud of his wit, and drifted off. I took my seat at table 14, tucked in the back with peripheral relatives and dates of friends. The important people filled the front tables. Derrick toasted his success story, college, career, Courtney. The applause was loud and warm. My name never came up. I hadn't expected it to. Later, I stood on the terrace, bourbon in hand, admiring the gardens, the same gardens I'd designed. Mom appeared, tipsy and glowing. Are you having fun? It's lovely. Isn't this place amazing? Derrick and Courtney are so blessed. They are. Maybe one day you'll afford a place like this, if you work hard, maybe become a general manager or something. I smiled. I was the general manager's boss. Dream big, baby, she said, patting my cheek, then wandered off. My phone buzzed. Thomas, Mr. Rivera, the Morrison party has launched 3 complaints today. Guest services documented everything. Me, what kind? Thomas, room temperature, minibar pricing, spa access, increasingly demanding tone. Mr. Morrison insists on special treatment. Me, document everything, maintain standards, no exceptions. Thomas, understood. Saturday's ceremony was flawless. The $23,000 floral arch glowed under soft sunlight. The string quartet played Vivaldi. Derrick cried during his vows. Guests dabbed their eyes. I sat in the back row, observing. During cocktails, Uncle Mark found me. Hell of a wedding, huh? It's beautiful. Derrick's killing it, VP job, Westchester House, and now this. Kid's got it figured out. He's done well, I said. You're doing fine too, he added, in the tone used for a child's drawing. Hotels are important, someone's gotta run them. True. Maybe Derrick can give you some career advice, help you move up the ladder. I smiled faintly, maybe. Then my phone buzzed again. Thomas, additional complaints from Morrison party, demanded late checkout, comp spa services, special privileges, all denied per policy. Mr. Morrison now requests to speak with ownership. Me, not yet, maintain protocol. The reception began, my ballroom, my chandeliers, my windows overlooking my gardens. The dinner, filet, sea bass, vegetarian Wellington, was flawless. The wine flowed, the laughter echoed, the toasts piled up. I sat at table 19 this time, even farther back. When I saw movement at table 1, I already knew what it was. Derrick, red-faced, gesturing toward a server, Courtney's father joining in, my mother frowning, the server retreating, distressed. Moments later, Thomas appeared, calm and composed, flanked by 2 security staff. He crossed the ballroom, all eyes following him. I read the body language easily, confrontation escalating, voices rising, authority questioned. Then Thomas turned, and pointed directly toward me. A hush fell, 200 guests turned in unison. Thomas walked the length of the ballroom and stopped at my table. Mr. Rivera, he said, voice steady, my apologies for the interruption during the celebration. I rose slowly. What seems to be the problem, Thomas? The Morrison party has requested an immediate meeting with ownership regarding multiple service complaints and demands for special accommodations. I met his gaze, calm, unhurried. I see, I said. What specifically? Thomas consulted his tablet. Complaints about room temperature, mini bar pricing, parking proximity, spa availability, checkout policies, and resort fees. They're demanding full refunds on incidental charges, complimentary service upgrades, and late checkout without fees. They've also expressed dissatisfaction with staff responses to their requests. Derrick had reached us now. Jason, why is the manager talking to you? Mr. Morrison has questions about hotel policies, Thomas said smoothly. No, I have questions for the owner, Derrick said. I've spent $127,000 on this wedding, and your staff has been completely inflexible about simple requests. I want to speak with whoever owns this place. You are, Thomas said calmly. Silence. What? Derrick said. You're speaking with the owner, Mr. Jason Rivera is the owner of the Belmont Estate Resort. You could have heard a champagne bubble pop. Derrick stared at me. That's not funny. It's not a joke, I said quietly. I acquired the Belmont Estate 18 months ago. Thomas serves as general manager under my direction. Mom had arrived now. Jason, what is happening? I own the hotel, Mom. I have for a year and a half. Courtney appeared, still holding her bouquet. You own this place? Yes. Richard pushed through the growing crowd. This is the Belmont Estate. This property is worth. He couldn't finish. Approximately $14. $7 million current valuation. I supplied. I paid $8. $4 million at acquisition and invested $3. $2 million in renovations. The ballroom had gone completely silent, 200 guests staring. Derrick's face had gone from red to pale. You own a multi-million-dollar resort? This and 6 other properties. I run a hospitality management company, Riverside Hospitality Group, 7 properties across 4 states, 43 employees. Annual revenue around $31 million. But you, Mom couldn't form words. You stay at budget motels. You drive a regular car. You never said. You never asked. I corrected gently. You assumed I was a struggling hotel manager. You told me the countryside inn was more appropriate for my budget. I didn't correct you because it was easier than explaining. Thomas cleared his throat. Mr. Rivera, regarding the complaints? I looked at Derrick. Let's address them. Thomas says you've demanded refunds on incidental charges. What charges specifically? Mini bar, premium Wi-Fi, spa services, parking, Derrick said weakly. All clearly disclosed in your booking contract. What else? Late checkout without fees. Standard policy is checkout by 11 a.m. Late checkout by request with fees depending on occupancy. We're at 94% occupancy this weekend. Late checkout would prevent us from preparing rooms for incoming guests. We spent $127,000 on this wedding, Derrick protested. You spent $127,000 on a comprehensive wedding package that included ceremony space, reception venue, catering, bar service, accommodations for the wedding party, and coordination services, all of which have been provided exactly as contracted. Incidental charges are separate, that's standard hospitality industry practice. Courtney was crying now, her wedding makeup running. You're really going to charge your own brother extra fees? I'm going to enforce the same policies I enforce for every guest, I said calmly. That's how you run a successful property, consistent standards. Richard looked like he might faint. You let us think you were nobody. I let you assume what you wanted to assume, I corrected. You asked if I worked at hotels. I do. I own them. You just didn't ask enough questions to learn that. Derrick found his voice, though it shook. This whole time, 9 years, you've been building this, and we had no idea. You weren't interested. Every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject to your achievements. After a while, I stopped trying. We would have listened if we'd known you were successful. Would you? Or would you have just treated me differently because of the money, like you're all treating me right now? The crowd of guests had grown. Everyone watched as this family drama unfolded at what was supposed to be an elegant wedding. Thomas held up his tablet. Mr. Rivera, for the record, do you approve the requested accommodations? Late checkout, refunded charges, complimentary upgrades? I looked at my brother, my parents, at the family that had spent 9 years dismissing everything I'd built. No, I said clearly, all charges stand as contracted. Standard checkout time applies, no exceptions. But we're family, Mom said desperately. Exactly, I said, your family. You spent 9 years thinking I was a failure while I built a $31 million business. You put me in a budget motel while you stayed in luxury hotels I own. You gave me advice about climbing the ladder while I owned the entire building, and you never once asked real questions about my life. Dad had tears in his eyes. We didn't know. You didn't care to know, I corrected. There's a difference. Derrick sat down heavily. Jason, you're actually rich. I'm successful in my industry, I said. I built something meaningful. Whether that makes me rich is subjective. Richard whispered. Your net worth, with 7 properties? That's private information, I said firmly, but since everyone's so interested, approximately $23 million. Most of it tied up in property equity and business assets. The number seemed to echo through the silent ballroom. Courtney made a small sound, like she'd been slapped. You're worth more than my parents. Again, most of it isn't liquid, but yes, probably. Uncle Mark pushed to the front. All those times I gave you career advice, told you to learn from Derrick. I remember. Derrick makes excellent money, I said evenly. His success is legitimate. He's a VP at a major firm. That's genuinely impressive. His career has nothing to do with mine. They're different paths. Thomas stood patiently. Mr. Rivera, shall I return to my duties? The kitchen needs final approval for dessert service timing. Yes, Thomas, proceed as planned, and make sure Mr. Morrison's final bill is itemized completely, every charge clearly documented. Of course, sir. Thomas departed with the security team. The crowd slowly dispersed, whispering furiously. I remained standing at table 19. Derrick hadn't moved. Mom approached carefully, like I might break. Jason, can we talk privately? There's nothing private to say. You know now what I do, what I've built. If you want a relationship going forward, it has to be based on reality, not the comfortable fiction you preferred. We love you, she said, crying now. You love the version of me that didn't challenge Derrick's position as the golden child. I'm not interested in being that person anymore. I picked up my phone and wallet. I'm going to head out. Please enjoy the rest of your reception. The dessert course is exceptional. I approved the menu personally. Where are you going? Mom asked. Probably back to the countryside inn. Maybe I'll upgrade to my actual suite here. Haven't decided. You have a suite here? Derrick asked hoarsely. Owner suite, penthouse level, 1,800 square feet, private terrace, full kitchen. I keep it available when I'm visiting properties. I started walking toward the exit. Jason, Derrick called. I stopped and turned. He stood up, walked over slowly. I'm sorry, for all of it, for never seeing you, for never asking, for treating you like you were less. Thank you. Can we fix this? I considered it. Maybe, but Derrick, I don't need your validation anymore. I spent 9 years building something extraordinary without your support. I did it anyway. If we rebuild a relationship, it has to be because we genuinely want to know each other, not because you're impressed by my bank account. I want to know you, he said quietly, and he sounded genuine, the real you, not the version we invented. Then call me next week. Actually ask about my work. Listen to the answers. We'll see if we can build something real. I left the ballroom, walked through the lobby I designed, past the front desk where my staff maintained perfect professionalism, and out to my car. My phone buzzed. Text from Thomas, your owner's suite is prepared if you'd like to stay, sir. Complimentary champagne and a good scotch in the bar. I smiled and typed back, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Please have housekeeping prepare the suite. I drove back to the countryside in one last time, packed my bag, checked out, and returned to the Belmont estate. The night manager checked me in personally. Welcome home, Mr. Rivera. Penthouse suite is ready. May I say, sir, what happened in the ballroom tonight? The staff are calling it legendary. Just setting some records straight. The whole team is proud of you. You built something incredible here. I took the private elevator to the penthouse. The suite was perfect, panoramic windows overlooking the estate, custom furniture, luxury finishes, every detail exactly as I'd envisioned. I poured myself 3 fingers of 30-year scotch and stepped onto the terrace. Below, the ballroom lights glowed softly. My family still celebrated Derrick's wedding, at the property I owned, finally understanding what I'd built while they were too busy dismissing me. My phone buzzed again, messages flooding in. Derrick, I really am sorry. Can we talk tomorrow? Mom, please don't hate us. Dad, we're so proud of you. We should have said that 9 years ago. Uncle Mark, I'm an idiot. Forgive me. I read them all, but didn't respond yet. Tomorrow would be soon enough. I looked out over the estate, lights shimmering like quiet proof of everything I'd worked for. 9 years ago, I was an overlooked hotel clerk. Tonight, I stood as the owner of 7 luxury properties, a man who no longer needed anyone's permission to be proud of himself. And for the first time in a decade, I finally felt seen, not by them, but by myself.